Facing Slavery, Dilemma Number 2, Surviving the Middle Passage by Ashley and Amy.
In West Africa, many village leaders decided to participate in the slave trade. This was when the village leaders traded West African people for English guns.
The slaves went on a journey across the Atlantic Ocean on ships. This trip was called the Middle Passage. The Middle Passage was harsh.
Choice A. Try to end your own life. Many enslaved West Africans tried to end their own lives in many ways. Some slaves jumped overboard, sure that they would die, either by drowning or being eaten by a shark. One of the disgusting conditions was that sharks followed the slave ships, feeding on the slaves thrown overboard and the slaves that jumped overboard. When this happened, slave traders jumped into rowboats and went after them.
If they were caught, they were punished by whipping, burning, and torturing.
Choice B. Try to organize a slave revolt. Slaves that were brave tried to organize a slave revolt. When a slave revolt happens, the slaves fight back with crude weapons that they made. Some slaves even managed to get their hands on some guns. Despite this, most slaves' revolts failed.
Even if a slave revolt was successful, the ship was often in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, and none of the slaves knew what route to take or where they were, and they did not know how to use English navigation tools and did not know how to read English maps. When slave traders found out that a slave led to or participated in a slave revolt, they were whipped, burned, and tortured. This was when they were lucky.
Much more often, slaves were just tossed overboard with no question, where they would most certainly die one way or the other.
Choice C. Try to maintain your strength to survive the journey. Many slaves tried to maintain their strength to survive the journey. These slaves ate willingly and were obedient to the slave traders.
They did try to comfort others, raise spirits, and tell others not to give up, like the slaves that tried to end their own lives. Now you have heard the slave story, their hard choices, their harsh conditions, the dark, painful feelings of homesickness, loss, sadness, anger, hate, and despair.
This situation, authors Amy Lee and Ashley Curious would choose option dash choice C. Try to maintain your strength to survive the journey. Amy and Ashley chose choice C because we hoped at the end we would be released and free from the white man's wrath.
In conclusion, slaves were dying by the millions because of slave traders. They chose the choices they wanted. Now all of the slave spirits have returned to Africa, their home. Rest in peace.